welcome back to the MANCARD Life Podcast. And as you guys know, I'm Matt Bonnet.
And I'm Rob Lambert.
And we are so glad that you're here with us today for this episode. And, you know, it's something I've got to work on because what people keep telling me in my feedback is it sounds like I'm saying episode. I didn't pick up on it.
He is a Yankee.
Yeah. So I'm going to overpronounce the P.
Okay.
And it's going to episode from here on out.
I got you.
But here at the MANCARD Life Podcast, we believe in biblical principles, real men, and real life. And so if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button for us. If it's on podcast, please download the episode. Don't forget, we're on Facebook and Instagram. We'd love for you to follow us on there and comment on the post. Let's get some dialogue. Let's get some feedback because that is always good. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
And
now, wait a minute. Now, before we get going, I've already told people we're going to do this. This is a shock to him.
Okay. Oh, don't surprise me,
I have
Rob.
a snake story for you. Okay. I know you love snakes.
I love snakes.
I know you
as
love
much as I love a good MRI. I love snakes.
You. All right. Well, this is a great one.
Okay.
I was a little kid, and my great grandma was out in the garden, and I was out there playing. I mean, I was a little guy, and all of a sudden I heard my great grandma go, "Woo, woo," and all 4'10" of her started running, and then she come back, and then she was running up and down the aisles of the garden.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I saw my dad take off over there, and this is what had happened.
Yeah.
She was out there hoeing in the garden, and a rattlesnake had struck.
Oh.
And you know how used to, I don't know if they still do it, but older ladies used to roll their pantyhose down.
Okay.
You know, and there's like a round thing around it.
Yeah.
That snake was stuck, its fangs was stuck in that. So she couldn't get away from it. And, you know, and it couldn't get away from her.
Oh, no. So what happened?
My daddy come over and held her, and my brother come up there and cut his head off.
Oh, that would freak me out.
I bet it would. I just thought that was funny.
No, we ain't playing that game, bud.
I never, if it'd been me, I might have said something I wasn't supposed to say, but my great grandma was a godly woman. She didn't say
anything
woo,
bad.
Woo!
I kind of would have liked to have seen that, but not really. So, I probably, you know what? So my brother's going to kill me. My brother Chris, my oldest brother, he's going to kill me for telling you this, but he is more terrified than snakes than I am. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I don't think I could tell this story. I'm going to have to get my brother on one of these episodes, okay? And but I won't tell it like he did because it's hilarious. But he was out there with my nephews, his boys, and they were probably, you know, our son's ages probably. And I think they were doing some kind of cleaning or something. I don't remember what it was, but I guess a snake had come out of the garage, and it doesn't matter what kind of snake it is. I mean, he ain't doing it. And whatever he did, somehow they got it flung up on, I believe he said, the roof of the house. And so, now they're trying to get it down or something. And, you know, I think he sends one of the kids up on the roof. I really don't remember how he tells this story. All I know is I think he got stuck. And so Chris had to end up having to get up there too and get his son down. And all of a sudden the snake came back to life or something. And he wet himself. He was so scared. He stiffened, froze, and wet himself.
Ooh, that's a bad combination.
He is more terrified than me. Now, I may have all those facts wrong, but the part of the story.
But the main part.
He wet himself.
Yeah.
He wet himself. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, people say good snake, bad snake.
Yeah.
No, they're not. There's not a good snake to me.
They're all
bad. I was in my dad's garage one time when I was a kid, and I looked, and there was a snake in there, and I run out, and I said, Daddy, there's a snake in there. He goes, I know it. Yeah, it's a king snake. That's a good snake. You don't get rid of that snake. And I was like, Daddy, come on, man. No, you don't get rid of that one. So a couple days later, I heard he went in the door.
Yeah.
And I heard, whap, pow, boom. And that snake, that king snake, was over the door frame.
Oh,
and it fell down. It fell down around Daddy, and he grabbed it and popped it, the neck. And
oh,
I was like,
goodness.
What, Daddy? That was a good snake.
Yeah,
the only good snake would have got around me.
The only good snake is a dead snake.
Yeah,
that is my motto.
Yep.
So, but anyway, once again, we're going to look at another man from the Bible. We're going to see what kind of impact he made for God, and that's going to be how our series continues on this podcast. That's what we're going to do. I think that's important to look at men from the Bible.
Yes.
See how they served God. What did they do to impact the kingdom? And let's talk about that. Let's bring that out. And so we're going to look at another incredible example today. A man who spent 45 years waiting on God. 45. And we're not talking about Abraham this time. Mm-mm. All right. But he pretty much stood alone minus one person. Mm-hmm. And, when I think about, people that are older, it's like, why do they retire from doing God's work? I mean, have you seen that before?
Yes, I have.
When they retire, let's retire from work. Well, let me just tell you something. Caleb, that's who we're talking about, at 85 years old, he didn't retire, and he still kept doing work. In fact, he said, I'm not looking for the easy chair. I'm paraphrasing. Give me the mountain.
Yeah.
He wanted the mountain. And so we're going to talk about Caleb. And for this episode, we're going to talk about the power of wholehearted devotion. Because that's what when I think about Caleb, that's what I see. Mm-hmm. That's what I think about. And, that's one of the greatest dangers for men these days is becoming half-hearted.
Right.
And when I say half-hearted, what does that mean to you when I say half-hearted?
Well, I can't say exactly, but it's like half butt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's grandpa had that saying, right?
Yeah,
another.
That's right.
Half donkey.
Yeah, and so half your heart is in the world. The other half, it might be with God. Right. But that's how I think of half-hearted when we're talking about Christians. And so we don't need any more half-hearted husbands. No. We don't need any more half-hearted fathers. We don't need any more half-hearted Christians. We don't need half-hearted church members. We need full-hearted, wholehearted servants for Jesus Christ. And I believe that's what Caleb teaches us. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. That God never... God didn't just call us to believe in him. That's the beginning.
Yeah.
He wants us to serve him.
Right. Until
our last breath. And that's what Caleb did. Mm-hmm. He was full on for God.
Yep.
And he's one of the greatest examples in scriptures that we see of wholehearted devotion. And so,
and the thing about it, you said there was somebody else that stood with him. Joshua stood with him.
We already talked about Joshua.
But think about this. Caleb, he stood firm and he didn't become the leader.
No, he didn't.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't get the big, the big promotion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But he stayed firm no matter what. Yeah. He stayed true to his nature.
He did.
And his nature was God.
Yep. And so here's what we see in Scripture with Caleb is even at the end of his years, he wasn't done. In fact, he had the same strength at 85 that he did in his 20s. Oh, so let me ask you a question, Rob.
Oh, me.
Okay. What is something that you could do in your 20s that there's no way you could do it now in your 50s?
Everything.
That's right. Everything.
I can't even run no more. And that was something I could do well, was run, and I can't run no more.
Well, let's just say you didn't have the neuropathy and all that stuff. What do you think you could still do in your 50s?
I could do a lot, I think.
You still could do a lot?
I think I could do.
That's you. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. For me, I'm like you. There's not a lot that I can do. I remember at the last couple of weeks or months when I was in my first full-time pastorate in Coleman, youth pastor in Coleman, I remember, because we had one of these power teams come, you know who I'm talking about? Where they come and they rip the phone books and bend the frying pans and all that stuff. And, I was like, man, I could do that. And I was about to head off to to my chaplain basic school. I was in the best shape of my life then. I mean, I could run 2 miles in 11, 12 minutes. Man, I don't know what I was benching and all that stuff, but I was fit. I mean, I was the best shape, and I said, you know what, I could probably do that. And you know what? They showed me a few things.
Yeah, technique to it.
There's techniques. I could rip the phone books, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't now, though, can you?
I can still rip the phone books.
Okay.
Okay. I also, they taught me the technique in breaking the
blocks. A lot of young people are going, what's a phone book?
That's right. That's right. That's right. What's a phone book? I could break the blocks. There's a technique to that. I could break the blocks. It does take, all these things take strength though, but there is a technique to them. And then my favorite was breaking the Louisville Slugger, the wooden baseball bat. Not just like slamming it over your knee. I'm talking about just applying steady pressure and it's snapping.
Yeah.
They taught me how to do that, and I could do that. And I welcome anybody to, you try, technique or not, that's hard to do. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you something. Not in my 50s, but in my 40s, I tried to do that. Mm-hmm. That thing wasn't breaking. No. It wasn't budging, okay? And
the only way I'm going to break a bat now is over somebody's head.
Yeah, and I've done some crazy stuff when I was younger, but now, you know what I celebrate? When I put my socks on and my back don't hurt.
Amen. Yes.
That I could put socks on with injuring myself, without injuring myself.
Like driving down here today, I had to go take a nap when I got here.
That's right. Yep.
And I was sitting down the whole time coming down here. I was driving.
Hey, you were relaxing, right? Yeah. There's no hard work in that, is there? We're not as young as we used to be.
No, sir. We are not.
But Caleb was, I believe, God miraculously preserved him.
Yes.
And Joshua, for that matter. Mm-hmm. Both of them. And these were the oldest two that were alive during the wilderness wandering.
The other people had to die.
They had to die
before we could go in there.
Yep. So these were the only two. And so the first thing that I want us to look at is this, guys. Wholehearted men stand for truth even when they stand alone. Mm-hmm. So we've already talked about this with Joshua back in Numbers 13 and 14. And so we know the story of Caleb, but let me just remind everybody. So Moses selected 12 men to go check out the promised land, to go spy it out. He chose one from every tribe. And so they were on a 40-day exploration, mission to explore Canaan. And they saw the fertile valleys. They saw, the big old clusters of grapes. They saw, everything. I mean, these grapes, they said 2 men had to hold them on a pole.
Right.
I ain't seen grapes like that ever. Do they even still have grapes like that? I don't know. But in other words, they saw exactly what God said was there. You know what? It's a land flowing of milk and honey. It's a land that is ripe for the taking and all this. But what did 10 of those guys see?
Man, there's giants. We look like grasshoppers.
We look like grasshoppers. They didn't see what God said was there. They saw what they couldn't get past.
The old preacher Bill Stafford said, I don't serve a grasshopper God.
That's right. Yep. So they saw obstacles. And so they returned. And I want to read this in Numbers 13, 31 through 32. It says this: Then the men who had gone up with him said, We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, The land through which we have gone to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are in great height. And so they saw a problem that they couldn't get past. 10 of them did. And that's not what God wanted them to do. And, we remember 2 guys, Joshua and Caleb. Here's what Caleb said in verse 30. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. I mean, I love that scene. I wish I was there, because I can just imagine, these 10 spies just feeling everybody with these lies that, hey, this is, just panic and all of this stuff, fear spreading throughout the camp. I imagine there was some complaining. They did that best probably. Negativity spreading. And Caleb says, quiet. We can do this.
Well, that's probably why, you remember God said all these descendants have got to die before you can go in there.
Yeah.
This generation's got to die, except for Caleb and Joshua's bunch, right?
Yep. 20 and older.
Right.
Yep.
And so, they went down through there and got everybody. How they do it now? People go, you gonna take that? Right. Get your bunch riled up.
Yep. That's what happens.
And let's go. No. Yep. We'll have to go over and get up on Caleb a little bit. No.
Yeah. I mean, we still do that today. We still see it today. When we
schoolyard stuff,
when we see an obstacle, we lose faith.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. We see it so often. And the bad thing is like those 10 spies, they're just spreading that distrust. And we'll see it in our churches.
Yeah.
There's no way God can do this. Well, you know what?
I've heard that so many times.
If God told the pastor, told the deacons, told the elders, told the leaders, told the church members, this is what I want to do, man, we don't need to listen to the 10 spies in disbelief.
Well, and you know what? They tell on themselves by saying it like this. They'll say, we can't afford that.
That's right. Yep.
We can't do that.
Yep.
Well, we're not asking you to do it.
Yeah, nope.
We're asking God to be faithful in what He's telling us to do.
That's right. Yeah.
But they give themselves away when they say, we can't do this. How are we going to do that?
And they'll I bet some of them probably quoted from some of the Old Testament that they might have had and said, well, this is what, here's what we think God's word is saying, and it's all about what they think, what they see, what their advice is, and they've never said, what is God saying?
Yep.
And we see that today. What is God saying?
Well, the children of Israel are a lot like other churches today because they would say, we've been better off. We just stayed in slavery in Egypt.
Right. Yep. So, and so, I mean, these two guys, I love Joshua and Caleb. They were faithful. And, a godly man doesn't determine truth by majority vote.
Right.
I mean, a godly man says, what has God already said? And you know what? Cultures are going to change. Opinions are going to change. Feelings are going to change. But guess what doesn't change? God's promise never changes. And so I can just imagine, kind of what was going on in the mind of Caleb, when he and one other were standing there alone. And men, sometimes we're going to stand alone.
Oh, yeah.
There was a time when I was standing alone. So guess what? My wife did something amazing for my birthday a couple years ago. Okay. And my daughter also did something amazing. And what they did is they got me and my son-in-law tickets to the Iron Bowl. Now, it was in Auburn that year.
Who plays in that game?
The best. Roll Tide. Don't even bark. But the Iron Bowl, okay? Now, this is the 4th and 30 game. All right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm sitting there going, oh, the whole game, guys, oh, what are we doing? I mean, they were kind of neck and neck. And so, but I'm going to tell you, the Auburn fans, they were just going wild because it wasn't no blowout like it should have been. I mean, we were not competing very well at all. And, I just kept quiet until the last 42, 43 seconds. I don't remember what it was, but that's when the 4th and 30 catch. That's when we got ahead. That's when we stayed ahead. And you know what? I was the only one standing in my section cheering them on. And my son-in-law was like, I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy. But I was standing, you know what? I didn't mind standing alone in that moment.
That happened to me at an Alabama-Georgia game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, we was in Alabama, sitting there. I was the only guy there like you.
Yeah.
Only Georgia guy there in that area. I mean, student section's right next to us.
Sure.
And it was overtime, and Matthew Stafford threw to old Mickey Henderson in the end zone.
Yeah.
It was Saban's first year.
Okay, well, that you know what?
Hey,
First
win's a
year.
win. Win's a win.
Okay. It's
But
first
anyway, I stood up and, everybody's like, sit down. I was like, I ain't gonna sit down. I was stupid back then.
Yeah. My son-in-law was like, man, you need to shut up. They're not going to let you walk out of here.
And you know what? I went to an Auburn, Georgia game where we did like a 4th and 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was the only one because I was sitting with my music minister who was an Auburn graduate, had season tickets.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yep. But anyway, so only one standing, guys. You know what? It's okay to be the only one standing. But here's the second thing. Wholehearted men remained faithful while waiting on God's timing. Listen to what Joshua 14:10 says. It says, and now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, just as he said, these 45 years. Since the time that the Lord spoke with the word to Moses while Israel walked in the wilderness, and now, behold, I am this day 85 years old. And so I believe this is probably one of the most overlooked aspects of Caleb's life. And Caleb is remembered for saying, give me this mountain. I love that. I love, give me this mountain.
A football coach needs to grab a hold of that.
Exactly, yeah. And before Caleb ever climbed that mountain, though, he spent 45 years walking in the wilderness.
Yep. Jared Abraham.
Yeah.
When you coach football this year, use that. Give me this mountain.
Give me this mountain. But he spent 40 years wandering, and by this time, it took them, I think it's roughly 5 years to go conquer Canaan, and before they were dividing it out. And they didn't give, they conquered the major places. There were still pockets throughout the land that they had to go and conquer. And so before Caleb said, give me this mountain, he was waiting for 45 years. He waited for that promise to be fulfilled. And you know what? Sometimes in wholehearted devotion to God, we're going to have moments of waiting.
Got that right.
And in those moments, God is growing, God is working, God is doing things, even though we may not notice it, we may not see it. That's what God does, okay? And so, here's what we don't see. Caleb is waiting because he's rebellious. We don't see him waiting because he lacked faith. We don't see Caleb waiting, because of punishment or anything like that. He patiently waited, why the unbelieving generation died out, like God said. And think about that, okay? Caleb was right. Joshua was right. God agreed with them that they were right, and God promised Caleb an inheritance. Right. And then Caleb watched for 45 years. 45 years goes by. You know what that looked like? 45 years of funerals, okay? 45 years of burying the unbelieving generation, 45 years of watching people complain, 45 years of seeing others waste opportunities. Yeah. I mean, that's what he saw. 45 years of waking up every morning and God says, I promise you something, and it's still coming.
Yeah.
How many of us can wait? I mean, we can't wait for our food to get cooked in a microwave these days.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we are not good at waiting.
And we're in an age now where if we don't hit it, we use our phone. There it is.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Instant. We want instant. I believe they would have a hard time these days. If I don't know how many of them would have waited. I don't know how many of them would have said, hey, forget this mission.
Yeah. Let's go back to Egypt.
Yeah, they would have gone back to Egypt. But biblical manhood is often built in the waiting.
Yeah.
If you don't hear anything, hear that. Biblical manhood is often built in the waiting. And Caleb teaches us that devotion, that kind of devotion is what we have to have. And so we see Caleb still, just as faithful at 85 years old. And I love the phrase in Numbers 14:24. It says, but my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I love that. That's not partially committed. That's not occasionally obedient. You know,
that is not a Sunday morning Christian.
No, exactly. No. You know, he wasn't just serving when it was convenient. You know, it says that he was fully following God, fully committed, you know, fully engaged, even in the waiting.
Yep.
And I think some of us go through those seasons of wilderness.
I think I'm in one of them now.
Yeah.
For about 10 years.
Yeah. And I believe that season is done.
I
believe that season is over. I told you this the other day, and I'm going to say it on film because I'm going to hold you accountable, and I want others to hold you accountable, Rob. You need to be on Facebook, and you need to be preaching the gospel. You need to get on Instagram. You need to get on YouTube. You need to be preaching the gospel. It doesn't matter that there's not churches lined up waiting for Rob Lambert to come and preach a message. You need to get out there. You need to preach messages, buddy.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to see it, you know, because God is done with your season of waiting. I believe it wholeheartedly that God wants to use you. He's going to do something great still because he already has.
Yeah.
Man, you have seen hundreds come to know Jesus. You've seen thousands surrender. God's not done.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yes. And so I want to see you do that. If you want to see Rob do that, I dare you to make a comment.
Yeah.
Whether it's on Facebook, you know, Instagram, YouTube, in the podcast, somewhere, make a comment. Tell him, Rob, I want to see you come back. And I guarantee you'll have a whole crowd of, it won't be just 10 people. It won't be 10 unbelieving spies, buddy. It's going to be hundreds of people saying, yes, we want to see Rob. And so you got this, buddy. I promise you do. And so, you know what? But these men, they may be in that season of waiting. It might be a season of waiting for restoration. It might be a season waiting for ministry opportunities. It might be a season of waiting for God to open doors. But I believe that there's men right now, they're waiting for that season. And if we're honest, okay, waiting has a way of really, you know, bringing out that faith in God.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to wait. All right. And waiting is going to ask questions like, do I trust God even when I don't understand him? You know, waiting is going to ask other questions. Do I trust God even if I don't like the timeline? You know, do I trust him even when I feel like I've been forgotten? Do I still trust him? And I believe that this part of Caleb's life, you know, of this story, it resonates with me personally as well. You know, because after I was injured in Iraq, you know, I was still serving in the military, but I was medically, I was not doing that well. And you know, I finally had to be medically separated. I didn't have enough time to retire out of the military, but I got medically separated from the military. I filed for VA compensation. I honestly thought that was going to be like super easy.
No.
You know, I thought, hey, this is straightforward, but you know what? I discovered that this was a 10-year process for me. 10-year journey, 10 years of paperwork. It was 10 years of appointments. It was 10 years of appeals. I mean, it was 10 years wondering, is this even worth it? You know what? But eventually, after 10 years, I was awarded 100% disabled, you know, by the VA. And you know what? Looking back on that, I realized that, you know, God was teaching me through those moments.
Yeah.
That's what he does so often in these seasons of wait is he's, you know, through every piece of paper that was processing, through everything that was happening, it was shaping.
That's how disability is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I bet. You know all about that and how long, you know.
We like to lost everything. If it hadn't been for people helping us, we'd have lost everything.
Yeah. And so fortunately, I could still do some work. And my VA pension is not like, you know, like a Social Security disability. So I can still work. I can still do those things. You know what? But God was teaching me through this process. Even while the paperwork was sitting on somebody's desk, buried under 100 others, God was teaching me. And that's what I love about Caleb. He wasn't bitter. You know, did make him quit. It actually preserved his passion.
Yeah.
And his passion was to serve God. And I believe that's what we see with Caleb. And so, and then he said, after that, those 45 years at 85, Lord, give me this mountain. And so, yeah, you could probably tell us all about waiting, can't you?
Yes, I can. Yeah. You know, I think I've even said this. You know, we waited on Diesel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it had been prophesied we'd have a son.
That's right.
And then miscarriages and, you know, other adoption things falling through. And then all of a sudden, in a 3-month period, we went from no hope to a baby.
That's right.
I mean, we were in the delivery room when he got here. I cut the cord.
Waiting's hard.
Yeah.
I can't imagine waiting for a child.
Man, it was tough.
9 months was hard enough.
Yeah.
How long did you wait? Roughly?
I'm trying to think. I think, 12 years.
12 years. I was going to say, I bet it was over 10.
It was over 10.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what God does in our waiting. And so, man, we need to remember that. Also, wholehearted men never lose their spiritual ambition. Okay? Listen to Joshua chapter 14 again, verse 10. And now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, just as he said, these 45 years, since the time that the Lord spoke this word to Moses, while Israel walked in the wilderness. And now, behold, I am this day 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was in the day that Moses sent me. My strength is now as my strength was then for war and for going and coming. So now, give me this hill country. Give me this mountain,
baby. He led the charge.
He did. He did. And he said, give me this hill country of which the Lord spoke on that day. For you heard on that day how the Anakim were there with great fortified cities. It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out just as the Lord said. You know, I don't know about you, but again, these are the moments in Caleb's life that I really love, and I think we can learn something in these moments.
He went after some big dudes.
Yeah. Because most people think, hey, I'm 85 years old. It's time to slow down. Not Caleb.
I done my part.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they say.
Yeah. He at 85, most people these days are settling down. Mm-hmm. You know, they're getting comfortable. You know, they're avoiding the challenges that are out there. But Caleb was 85 years old. He wasn't just asking for comfort. Okay? He wasn't just asking for the rocking chair. He wasn't just asking Joshua to give me a beach house to retire in. Caleb was asking for the hardest assignment out there, where the giants were. You know, that's what the mountain is. That's what the mountain represents. The giants, the Anakim, the very people that terrified Israel, that melted their hearts. Okay, the very people that made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years. And Caleb says, you know what? I want it.
I got this.
Yes, that's what I love. This, again, there's so many favorite parts, but that's got to be my favorite of all of this. You know, and you know what? The giants were still there. They were still there. He said, good, I got this. Okay, the work isn't finished. Give it to me. That's why this is about the ambition that he had. Yeah. That's godly ambition right there, okay? Because we might think, when I say ambition, we probably have a negative context with ambition sometimes. Like, you know what? They're only after success. They only want to be famous. They just want the money. Okay, that's what their ambition is. But you know what? That's not Caleb's ambition. His was a holy ambition. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to have. I mean, Paul had it when he said it in Romans 15. He said, I make it my ambition to preach the gospel. That's a holy ambition. David had it when he said, I want to build the house for the Lord. Joshua had it when he says, I want to lead my people faithfully. And that's the same ambition, that holy ambition that Caleb had, where some men, they're going to retire from their jobs and they accidentally, and I said this at the beginning, they accidentally retire from serving God. That is a shame.
You know, one of the things about when I pastored up in Walker County is, you know, most of my church, the men they worked in the mines.
Yeah.
The coal mines. And a lot of them wouldn't retire. They said, well, when you retire, you die.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was true.
That's true.
A year or so after somebody retired, they just die.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens, And so in the church, we see it. People stop teaching. People stop discipling. People stop leading. They stop mentoring the young. How is a younger man in Christ going to grow if people said, you know what, I'm retired, so I'm retiring from everything? What? Right. Men, listen to me. Stop it. Okay?
Yeah.
Stop
that, man.
Because, we've been in churches all the time where we see it. And what happens to a church when the older men stop discipling and stop mentoring? What's going to happen to that church?
It dies.
It dies.
It dies, bad.
Man, you don't want to see your church die. So you know what? Keep going. All right? Pray that God gives you the strength to do this as you had in your younger years.
Yep.
And I promise you, God will give you that.
The other thing I'd like to point out is, and you probably remember this because we were together at this point in our, not same church, but, my first pastorate, I'd been the youth minister there, and then I graduated or whatever to the pastor.
Yeah. And
they would tell me the association stuff, you need to slow down, slow down. And they called me, they nicknamed me, they didn't know I knew this, but they nicknamed me Maverick.
Maverick. I heard you say that before.
Yeah. And they would make fun of me and all kind of stuff. But you know what? I led the association in baptisms.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Make fun of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But why do you want to tear down the young guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
I just don't understand that.
Here's what we lack in the church today. Because when the older men are there, you know what? They may not have their strength. Okay? They may not be able to pick up trash off the ground. They may not be able to lift the garbage out of the can to take it to the dumpster. But you know what they've got? They've got maturity. Mm-hmm. They've got wisdom.
Knowledge.
They've got experience. They've got discernment. They've got testimonies. Mm-hmm. And the younger men need that. So men, continue to be faithful because, go ahead.
No, you got it, man.
But, I'm going to be the first person to admit, as I've gotten older, I cannot do what I used to do. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I've even lost the ability to do a lot of things because of my own disability, and I hate that. I've got scars and I've got bad knees and I've got bad backs and I've got limitations. I don't have perfect health. You don't have perfect health. But you know what? Perfect health is not what God requires from us. Mm-mm. Because all these years, and I'm not saying I'm the wisest person, and I've still got a lot of growing to do. But man, I've got some things to pass down.
Yeah,
You've got some things to pass down to the younger generation. And that's what I've come to understand. You know what? God's just given me a different mountain. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad for this mountain. And I'm ready to take this mountain because God's put us in another season. And you know what? I'd be the last person to say that, hey, Matt, why don't you start a podcast? Man, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you know what you're doing?
I just go do what you tell me to do.
I don't even know. Hey, I'm probably leading you wrong, buddy. Mm-hmm. But God's given us a different mountain. He's given us this. And you know what? He wants me to invest in my sons, my daughters, my grandsons. He wants me to keep pointing people to Jesus.
That's right.
That's what he wants. And you know what? Just to say all that, the podcast grew from this book right here, MANCARD. Mm-hmm. I'd be the last person that you would want to write a book.
But he did write it. He did write this book.
Hey, I bet there's grammatical errors. There's probably misspelled words in that thing.
I'm an author.
That's right. I know. I hear you. I tell people I might have a college degree, but I'm still the dumbest pastor out there.
Me too.
I don't get hung up in, this deep theology. I think we need it. I think it's great. Mm-hmm. You know what? I just want to keep pointing people to Jesus.
Right.
And I know that theology is important, and I want to understand more, and I'm understanding more every single day. But I probably won't get in a deep theological conversation with you because I wouldn't be able to get my way out of it probably. My memory's not like it used to be.
Well, I send you videos all the time trying to help you with your theology.
You do, yeah. What was the last one? I don't know if it was theology, but it was something. But did you know just to get into college, I had to take remedial English and reading classes.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I've had to like 2 or 3 of them just to be able to get to a college level.
Oh my goodness!
And my paper. Bible college is paper after paper after paper. And Melissa will tell you that is not my strong suit. We've already discussed this, but she's had to help me write a bunch, okay?
So she really's got the religious studies degree.
She's got the degree, not me, okay? But I want to tell you something. God has placed a holy ambition in me. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, what fuels that holy ambition is when you see God working. Mm-hmm. When you see, you know what? I called you up this morning and I told you about this afternoon, I told you about my morning while you were driving down here. God was showing up, showing out. Yeah. I mean, like I was visiting people, and while I'm visiting people, that have health problems in my church, you know what? There was their little granddaughter. And we were talking to her because she's kind of wanting to be baptized. And so we were, man, those are the moments we live for. That's exactly the holy ambition. Yep. While I was there, I got a call on the phone from a young man that's been attending the church. And he said, hey, 2 weeks ago in your sermon, I asked Jesus Christ to come into my life. And I want to be baptized. Awesome. I mean, like, I'm sitting there going, man, this, you know what? But if we let things stop us, we won't be able to, we won't be able to have those moments. Mm-mm. Because those moments keep us going. Yeah. And it just kept, I'm baptizing somebody in a pond tomorrow. You're going with me. Right. Okay. I mean, and then while you were here, I got a phone call of a guy. They know we're looking for a youth pastor at our church. And he's like, hey, tell me more about this, And this is a guy, I'd never thought he would come and tell me that, but he wants to be a youth pastor, whether it's at the church I'm going to or another church. And I'm excited about it because God's moving. And if I didn't have the holy ambition, and I would miss these moments. Yeah. And men, you're missing some moments probably. Yeah. You're missing some moments. Mm-hmm. But here's something else. A wholehearted man trusts God's presence more than their own ability. All right. Joshua 14:12 says, so now give me this hill country of which the Lord spoke on that day. For you heard on that day how the Anakim were there with great fortified cities. It may be that the Lord will be with me and I shall drive them out just as the Lord said. All right. Wholehearted men trust God's presence more than their own ability. Caleb didn't have the ability to do this without God's presence. Mm-hmm. What I was just talking about, I don't have that ability whatsoever to write a book, to start a podcast. Mm-mm. I don't have the ability most days to be a pastor.
I understand that.
I am the least worthy of that position, but I want to do what God's called me to do. Mm-hmm. You know what? Because if I'm doing what God says, all right, He's going to give me the strength. He's going to give me the wisdom. He is going to give me what I need. Right. Just like He did with Caleb. And He preserved his strength. Man, for 45 years, he's got the same strength as he once had. Mm-hmm. Man, I'd kill for that. Mm-hmm. I can't break a bat anymore. It don't matter.
I don't think I could break a toothpick.
That's right. But
you're talking about your school. Yeah. I want to tell this. Listen to now everybody just thinks I'm an old dumb country boy. Yeah. But I do have an IQ of 138.
Oh yeah.
And listen to this though. When I went to I had to take that the placement test. Yeah. And it said that I placed in calculus 1.
Really?
Yeah. And math.
Well, that's bad. Math is easy.
Anyway, but I needed 2 maths to get my religious studies degree. Yeah. Why we need math for religious studies? I guess because all the numbers in the Bible.
We got to have everything. Everything.
So guess what? I took calculus 1 and calculus 2 when I could have took pre-algebra and didn't know it.
Yeah, you didn't have to go for what you qualified for. Yeah.
I didn't know. They didn't tell me that. They said, well, we'll put you in calculus 1.
I think I took like math class like analytics or something.
1 plus 1 is 2.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I didn't mean to be the underachiever, but there was other things that were more important than taking calculus or something.
Oh man, I was like,
so
that made me so mad after I got done with calculus 2.
Yeah.
That I could have took math 108.
That's right.
Or 100 or something like that.
And what I love about Caleb, he didn't say, Joshua, look what I could still do.
Right.
He didn't say that. You know what he said? It may be that the Lord will be with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying. I've got this because of God.
Right.
That's it. Nothing else. Because of God.
Yeah.
And so we need to trust God. We need to trust God's word. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Man, we miss that so many times. Paul writes, our sufficiency is from God. Jesus said, apart from me, you can do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Caleb understood that.
Yeah.
We've got to understand that. It's not about what we can do. We need to quit saying I.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what can God do in our lives. I think that's what's so awesome here, and I bet you've got some stories on your mission trips.
Oh, yes.
You probably did not see whatever the situation was, how it was even going to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet God showed up.
Every time. He has to, because down there on them mission trips, man, that's not my element, really.
Yeah. Tell us about the time when, the orphanage needed food and what happened?
Oh, man. We went to the orphanage and they had nothing to eat. They had over 100 children there. And so we went to their equivalent of a Sam's place, and we loaded up there's a certain amount of groceries, bought them and all. And when we got back, and Lance can tell you this, our buddy that was down there and everything, anybody on that trip, Carol Sutton, will tell you, we took more groceries off the trucks than we put on.
You put on it. Yeah.
I mean, we thought we had bought them like a month's worth of food, and it ended up being 3 months worth of food.
That's the epitome of look what God can do.
Yeah, and then the farmer down the street, the chicken farmer down the street, come by and said, hey, I just feel like I need to do this. I'm going to be bringing every one of them kids 1 egg every day.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, how are we going to do this?
Yeah. God shows up, shows out, but only if we have our wholehearted attitude.
Yeah.
That we want to serve him fully committed.
To the end.
To the end. That's the next point right here.
Yeah.
Wholehearted men finish strong.
Yeah.
That's what they've got to do.
That's what I've been praying about myself, man. I don't want to finish.
No, exactly. You have been.
I want to finish strong, dude.
Yeah. That's why I say God's not done, man. This is just, you went through a season. This is a different season.
Yeah.
Man, God's got you.
Yeah.
And God's got any man out there wondering, what can I do? How can I do this? God's got something for you.
Mm-hmm.
Finish strong.
Yep.
Here's what it says. The last couple of verses I'm going to read, Joshua 14, 13 and 14. Then Joshua blessed him, and he gave Hebron to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, for an inheritance. Therefore, Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, to this day, because he wholly followed the Lord, the God of Israel.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I want to be said about me. You know what? At my funeral, I want it to be said that Matt Bonnet wholly followed the Lord.
Yeah, that's me too, man.
Man, if that's not the words that are said, man, if you preach my sermon, the sermon at my funeral, dude, I hope you can say that not just because I asked you to, but because you saw it.
Yeah.
Because you saw it.
I have.
So, starting well is important, but we got to finish strong. And so the Christian life, it's not a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It is a lifelong journey of following Christ faithfully through the victories, through the disappointments, through the up to the success.
There's going to be some losses.
The failures, the losses, the mountaintops, the valleys, the wilderness. There's going to be all of that. But we've got to continue, persevere through all that. We need men who are passionate about finishing strong, fully, wholeheartedly serving God. That's what we've got to have. And so I want to wake men up tonight. I want to wake them up and say, hey, what are you doing for God? Maybe, again, it's a season of waiting.
Yeah.
And you've waited long enough. Let's get out there. Don't let anybody tell us we can't do it. Don't let anybody tell us we're too old. Don't let somebody tell us that we're not smart enough. That, fully trust God. Again, that's what I want to be written on my gravestone, if I have one, that I did that. That's what I want my children to say. That's what I want my grandchildren to say.
Right.
I mean, man, we've got to leave a legacy that's just like Caleb. Because if we don't, man, Lord, what are we doing? What are we leaving? And so I pray that this episode, it gets you excited about finishing strong, about being wholeheartedly committed, leaving that legacy where nobody has to question that you followed God. I don't know where our men are tonight that's watching this, or they might watch it in the morning, whether you're 25 or 85. But I believe that Caleb asks us all the same question. He says this: will you still be pursuing Jesus in 10 years?
Right.
And then in 10 years, the same question. Will you still be pursuing Jesus in 10 years?
Yeah.
Amen?
Amen.
So, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
Man, you all fired up tonight.
I don't know what's wrong, man. I know. So, yeah. You got anything else, though?
No, man.
I didn't give you a chance to talk much.
No, you're good, man. It's fine, man. It was awesome. I was sitting there taking it in.
Okay. All right. So, hey, guys, before we close, don't forget that Rob's put out a challenge, praying 3 times a day.
Yep.
So you can direct message him on one of the social media platforms. You can email us at podcast@mancard.life. If you want, you can just go to the website, www.mancard.life. You can get the book, The Man Card. You can go to the podcast. You can email us. You can do whatever. All right. That'll come to us, or you could just do it directly. But, maybe you want to be a ministry supporter, and there's something that you want to do because God has laid it upon your heart. We have just been talking and posting that God is opening up a possible door to go and have a booth about the MANCARD Life Podcast at a pastor's conference. And so we're working on that. And you know what? We've had a couple of donors, and one really big one, but they provided all the money.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's something that you want to do. We pray that you'll get up with us, because that's what this is all about. It's not about how many views we can have, how many subscribers. It's about pursuing God.
Yep.
And so if you want to help us in doing that, we pray that you will. Our prayer is that this is not just another podcast. It's not just another book. It is a movement of men.
Yeah.
We know that God's got something great to do, and we need to apply these biblical principles that we're talking about to our lives.
Yes,
and I want to encourage men to do that, because, I want to encourage men to show yourself to be a man in that marriage, to your children, to your grandchildren, in your workplaces, and in your communities, So I appreciate you guys tuning in for this episode of the MANCARD Life Podcast. If this episode has spoke to you in any way, please share it. Please share it with somebody. We appreciate that. But remember this: biblical principles, real men, and real life.
Go dog.